Time now for the Woezor TV report. Let's take a look at the headlines. Now let's begin. President John Dramani Mahama has engaged members of the Ghanaian community in the United Kingdom as part of his official visit. Ahead of his address at the UK Investment Summit, President Mahama commended the Ghanaian diaspora for their continued contribution to Ghana's economy and stressed their vital role in the country's economic recovery and growth. There's more in this report.
Ahead of President Mahama's participation in the UK Investment Summit, President John Dramani Mahama met with members of the Ghanaian community in the United Kingdom, commending their continued support for Ghana's economy and reaffirming their importance to the country's recovery and development agenda. The engagement highlighted the government's commitment to strengthening ties with Ghanaians abroad while outlining its vision for a more business-friendly and resilient economy. The meeting brought together key government officials, including Finance Minister Dr. Kisela Tuforsen and the Minister for Trade. President Mahama underscored the significant contribution of the diaspora to national development and outlined measures aimed at strengthening the economy, including plans to revive operations at the Oyoe refinery.
We are just about to make history again. We did it in my first term, but after we left office, it didn't continue. We are about to start to refine our own crude. And so in June, we are delivering a parcel of Ghanaian crude from our own oil fields to the Oyoe refinery to process. And that is what we call value addition.
Finance Minister Dr. Kisela Tuforsen assured the community that the current economic gains are sustainable. He noted that despite inheriting the challenging economy, prudent fiscal management has helped restore stability and confidence.
Fiscal prudence and discipline always delivers results. And so, to you fellow Ghanaians, I want to assure you that President Mahama's administration is determined to ensure that the gains we have made so far are maintained and are sustained going in.
Ghana's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom and Ireland, Her Excellency Sabazita Benson, pledged improved and more accessible services for Ghanaians living in the UK. President Mahama further reiterated his administration's commitment to accountability, warning that heads of state-owned enterprises will fail to submit audited accounts within the timeline set by the State Interest and Governance Authority (SIGA) will be removed from office. For Woezor TV,
now in other news, Parliament has passed the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill 2025, marking a significant step in Ghana's legislative process and reviving national discussions on family values, constitutional rights, and individual freedoms. The bill was approved by a voice vote on Friday, May 29, following extensive debate and considerations of recommendation from Parliament's Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee.
Motion moved and seconded. It is for the consideration of the House. I will then put a question. As many as are in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The motion for the third reading is accordingly adopted.
An act to provide for human sexual rights and family values and related matters.
Honourable members, the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill 2025 is duly read for the third time and passed.
I know that my friends in the minority are going to go out there and try to mislead the public. I am told that instead of remaining in the chamber and putting up a fight based on their convictions, they have absconded, left the chamber, and they are outside attempting to mislead Ghanaians in a press conference. Mr. Speaker, what is it all about? The proponents of the bill propose in clause 9 and clause 10 that subject to the Constitution, and the committee decided to elaborate.
Away from Parliament, Minister for Health Kwabena Mintah-Kando has assured Ghanaians there is no cause for panic, stressing that no Ebola case has been recorded in the country. He, however, says Ghana remains prepared to respond to any possible outbreak and is urging the public to strictly observe preventive measures. The minister made the call after inspecting key Ebola surveillance, testing and treatment facilities across the country. Belinda Kwanta has more.
Of effort to assess Ghana's readiness against a potential Ebola outbreak, the Minister for Health, Kwabena Mintah-Kando, inspected surveillance measures at the Accra International Airport, laboratory preparedness at the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, and treatment capacity at the Ghana Infectious Diseases Center. The minister said the current Ebola outbreak remains a concern because there is no known cure or vaccine, making prevention the country's strongest line of defense.
Every Ghanaian is supposed to take this exercise very seriously, and we need the full cooperation of everybody. What is more alarming about this particular Ebola is that we are told that there's no cure and there's no vaccine. So the surest bet is prevention. And that is why there is the need for us to adhere strictly the precautionary measures. So please, let us not joke with this.
Mr. Kando also noted that government is strengthening surveillance at airport and land borders while directing organizers of mass gatherings to provide hand-washing facilities and sanitizers. He, however, assured the public that the country's response systems remain ready should any suspected case be detected.
I've spoken about their capacity building. We have spoken about the IPCs, and you can also see how they conducted us around. They have the facility and they are fully ready, especially based on their track records of how dengue was handled, how Lassa fever was handled. It means that if there is any case, we are ready. There's no cause for panic. Nobody should panic. All that we expect from you is to adhere to the precautionary measures.
The health minister is urging the public to remain calm, cooperate with health authorities, and strictly adhere to all precautionary measures. Reporting for Woezor TV, Belinda Kwanza.
The Electricity Company of Ghana has begun replacing power transformers at the Bachona primary substation in Accra as part of efforts to improve electricity supply within the enclave. The project is expected to strengthen the network for both residential and industrial customers, although ECD says affected areas will experience temporary interruptions during the installations. There's more by Ellen Frimpo.
The Company of Ghana has begun replacing power transformers at the Bachona primary substation as part of efforts to improve electricity supply for homes and industries in the area. The project involves upgrading existing transformers from 20 megavolt amperes to higher capacity of 30 megavolt amperes to strengthen network and improve reliability. Speaking at a media briefing, ECG General Manager for External Relations, Dr. Charles Ni Ayiku said the exercise forms part of a nationwide program to address intermittent outages and ensure stable power supply.
This is not just a residential community, but also has some industries. So it's important that as a proactive measure, we increase the capacity so as to have a reliable and stable power supply in this area. We hope that after these replacements, amongst others, we'll be able to have a very strong network. The issue of intermittent power outages, low current, would also be a thing of the past.
Meanwhile, General Manager for Sub-Transmission Operations in Accra, Engineer Francis Achacha, explained that Bachona Substation currently operates with one transformer, making the replacement urgent.
We are going to replace all the 2 transformers. Today we are replacing one. By the end of June, we'll replace the second one. So the old transformers, we've earmarked other substations where we'll be installing we'll be moving the old transformers to. So, for example, what we did at Aquatia, it is one of the old transformers that we moved to Aquatia, and we'll be moving one of them to South Pond. We'll move one to Tema, and so we've earmarked areas for the old transformers.
ECG says customers within the Bachona enclave will experience temporary power interruptions of up to 6 hours to allow for safe completion of the exercise. The Bachona upgrade follows similar projects in Adenta, Maijom, Teshinungwa and Kumasi, with more substations expected to benefit in the coming months. For Woezor TV, Ellen from Pong.
Now, 9 years after the tragic death of Major Maxwell Adam Mahama, family members, the Ghana Armed Forces, and the public have gathered in Accra to honor his memory and renew calls against mob justice. At the memorial and wreath-laying ceremony held at the Oyoe Cemetery, speakers describe his death as a painful national moment that continues to serve as a reminder of the need to protect human life and uphold due processes under the law.
Monday, May 29, 2017, a day many Ghanaians still remember with pain. The nation woke to the devastating news of the death of the then Captain Maxwell Adam Mahama, who was lynched at Dentro Boase in the Central Region in a tragic case of mistaken identity. Captain Mahama had been deployed to the area as a commander of a military detachment tasked with clamping down on illegal mining activities known as Galamsey. That morning, while on his usual jogging routine and dressed in civilian clothes, he reportedly stopped to ask some local women for directions. He was carrying his sidearm. Moments later, panic spread after he was mistaken for an armed robber. Despite pleading and identifying himself as a soldier, he was attacked by a mob and later died from multiple head injuries and gunshot wounds. The incident sparked a national conversation on the dangers of mob justice and instant judgment. 9 years on, family, the Major Maxwell Mahama Memorial Foundation, the Ghana Armed Forces, and members of the public gather at the Oyoe Cemetery and the memorial monument to honor a soldier remembered for his service and sacrifice and to renew calls for an end to mob violence.
This monument before us was erected not merely as stone and structure, but as a national reminder, a visible and enduring declaration that never again should any innocent person lose his or her life to mob action, suspicion, or hearsay.
As Ghana marks the 9th anniversary of Major Maxwell Mahama's death, his memory continues to stand not only as a tribute to service, but as a solemn reminder that justice must always prevail over anger and that every life deserves protection under the laws. For Woezor TV, Ellen Frimpong.
Time now for some international news. Now, Colombia's presidential election will go to a runoff on June 21 between a leftist and a right-wing candidate on opposite ends of the political spectrum after Sunday's vote produced no overall winner. The right-wing Abelardo de la Espera, an admirer of Donald Trump, came top in the vote, following closely by the left-wing Senator Ivan Cepeda, an ally of the current President Gustavo Petro. The campaign, was plunged with violence, including drone attacks, kidnappings, homicide, and the assassination of a presidential candidate at a rally last year. Both men offer different visions for how to solve Colombia's violent internal armed conflict that has lasted for decades but has resurged in recent years. On Sunday, neither candidate achieved more than 50% of the vote to win outright. While polls tipped Cepeda to finish ahead of his right-wing challenger, official results showed that he trailed with 41% of votes compared to De La Espera's 43.7%, with almost no all ballots counted. This brings us to the end of the Woezor TV report. Many thanks for staying with us. I am Karen na Oyoe. Ewura Adams Karim is on standby to give us the newspaper review. Over to you, Karen.
All right, thank you very much.